welcome, uh, all of you, very much to our Global WWF webinar. It's great to see you here from all over the world, and it's always nice to see cities coming back, but also new cities joining us. Um, we are now coming into our next global webinar, part of a series of our strategic support program following the One Planet City Challenge 2025-2026. Today, we are talking about how to make the most of your One Planet City Challenge participation through stronger reporting, greater impact. My name is Saskia Tegnell, and I am a part of the One Planet City Challenge Global Coordination Team. Very happy to guide you through this coming hour where we will hope to give you very practical and hands-on experiences and tips for your reporting until we have our final deadline. Before we start, I just want to have a few logistics checks. So this session is being recorded. You're very welcome to be active in the chat and say who you are, where you're from, and ask questions. We have interpretation in Spanish for this session, so if you need that and you want to use that, please use the globe at the bottom of the screen. So the purpose of this webinar is to share practical tips and experiences for your reporting submissions to the One Planet City Challenge. And that way we can have an impactful and a better assessment and feedback to you as cities. So today we'll go through a little bit just why it's important to improve your reporting, how it is possible to do that, and we have some great speakers and experts and cities who will help you through to that today. And I will end the webinar today with talking a little bit about what are the next steps in the challenge. For those of you who are completely new to the One Planet City Challenge, this is our flagship initiative because we live in a climate emergency and we know that cities have the power to drive transformative change. But we also know that this is quite complex. So this is why we started the One Planet City Challenge around, or actually now almost 15 years ago, where we give strategic feedback and support to local governments as they progress along your actual individual climate journeys. And what is it then in practice? Well, we normally say it has different components, but we are now in the first or one of the first ones where we are focusing on the registration and the reporting to really display your data, display what you're doing, so we can have a good assessment and review of your work, give you feedback, build capacities around with the cities that we work with. We also have engagement and mobilization as an important part of the program. And we end always with recognition and celebration of the cities that are frontrunners. And this registration and reporting, we use the International Standardized Reporting Platform, CDP eClay track, and that based on that data, we can make our assessments. And we see that, are very happy to see that cities all over the world are already joining the program through showing that they are displaying their data through the CDP eClay track. We have more than 360 cities that are actively reporting now, but there's also still time to get on board. So very welcome if you did not have the chance to do it already. We have, just before we start, just to clarify a little bit the timeline around what is the One Planet City Challenge 2025-2026. We started the reporting opened, I should say, the 16th of June. So some of you already started reporting then. Some of you, or actually a lot of you, we know already submitted your reporting by the 15th of September, which was the first deadline for CDP. But we have the final deadline, the reporting will close on the 19th of November. And after this, we have the next phase of the strategic feedback and based on what you reported. And so there will be cities here that have already submitted and are looking now to what can we look at to really increase and to improve our reporting, to make the most out of it. And we have some cities here who might not have started or are in the process of doing it. And along the road here, we've had different webinars, and now we're here making the most of the OPCC. And so just to pinpoint again, the purpose here is really to share practical tips and experiences, strengthen your reporting submissions, and thereby getting more relevant and impactful assessments and feedback. Cities that have joined previously might remember that in the last round, we had something called the GAPS report. In this round of the One Planet City Challenge, we are introducing a new tool that will help you to interact with your assessments when they are done at the beginning of next year. And through that, you will be able to download your feedback report, but also your GAPS report. So there you will also get more insights into your individual reporting. But because of this tool development, we decided that instead we are providing this webinar where we're giving the most common what we see with cities, what we see that what you can improve and what are really the key things to look at. So with that, I want to introduce you to our wonderful speakers today. We are very happy to have Marta Vescovi from CDP, who will show you and tell you a little bit more of the CDP point of view. What is it and what can be improved, and how do you do it? We have Rafaela Fonteles, our technical project officer here at WWF Cities, working on the assessment framework and how can you, from that point of view, improve your reporting. And we have Uri Colodro from WWF Chile, working with cities and city coordination there, and will share his experiences with working with cities. That said, we know that you are in different stages of where you are at in your reporting. So we just like to get a bit of a better picture of who's in the room here. So we start the poll now to help you or help us a bit understand and you each other who is in the room. So what applies to your local authority or city? Did you already submit your report and join the OPCC? Did you submit it but not yet joined the OPCC? Are you still working on it? Or are you totally new to the CDP ClearTrack? Or maybe you're from another type of organization. So just for us all to get a bit of a picture of that. And just now as the answers are coming in, we're seeing that a lot of you, more than half, are already submitted and joined. So that's great. And we will hopefully give you some tips and tricks on how to improve your reporting. We also have some completely new and some submitted. So happy to have you all here. And we know that we have these great speakers who will share their tips, but we also know that a lot of you cities in our program are very experienced and have a lot of thoughts on and experiences to share with each other. So please do that in the chat. Continue to use that as a place for interaction. But before I give the floor to Marta, I also want to share some of the cities that we're working with and their experiences.
In all reporting processes, including CDP, our biggest challenge is collecting data from different departments inside the City Council. To make this easier, we follow a few simple steps. First, we ask for the data as early as possible. This gives time for answers and clarifications, especially when the indicators are new or complex. We also talk with colleagues first to understand what information they are already collecting and the language they use. This helps us avoid confusion and keeps consistency. Whenever we can, we also share last year's data. It helps colleagues to check for big changes or mistakes in the reporting. In more frequent reporting cycles, we try to integrate the collection of data and monitoring in their daily tasks. This builds ownership and cooperation. And finally, we organize all the data into our internal databases. This makes reporting easier next time and allows us to use the same data for other reports.
Hola, buenas. Mi nombre es Ignacio Ramírez, encargado de cambio climático de la Municipalidad de Renca y llevo 3 años aquí reportando CDP. Para el reporte CDP, lo más importante que tenemos que considerar son los datos. Estos tienen que ser medibles, cuantificables y fiables. Para esto, en todas las ciudades se realizan cuentas públicas. Mi principal consejo va en tomar estas cuentas públicas, ir llenando las partes del reporte y considerar esto como base para luego solicitar los datos que nos faltan. Por su atención y mucho éxito con el reporte.
Last time we reported, we found it a bit tricky to understand the start and target years for different mitigation actions. So this year, we gave ourselves more time to read the instructions and to think and discuss internally. We think that this made it easier to calculate the effects of the measures and gave us a more consistent reporting. We wish you good luck.
So with that, we'd like to thank those 3 cities giving some hands-on tips as a start of this webinar. Now I'd like to hand over the floor to Marta Vescovi from CDP, telling us a little bit more about how to manage and go over the platform. So over to you, Marta.
Thank you, Saskia. Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Marta Vescovi. As Saskia said, I work for CDP and for the CDP Clay Track, so the platform through which you can report to the beautiful OPCC initiative. I will now share my screen and show you a little bit how it looks like from inside. So I've seen that most of you are already part of the OPCC, but I've seen that some of you have already reported your data through the CDP Clay Track and have not yet taken advantage of the OPCC. So how can you do it? Let's now pretend that here is the name of your city. You have already submitted your data this year on the CDP Clay Track and you want to join the OPCC. So all you have to do is get on your account, then click on questionnaire. So on the left tab, let's say, here you will notice your submitted date with the date in which you have submitted. And then here on the right side, you will find an edit submission button. So you click on here, you give the permission to edit the submission. As Saskia said, here you also have a reminder on the fact that you have to click again on submit, and you have time until November 19th. So yeah, let's proceed, edit submission. And now the platform is open again. And so all you have to do is go again on the left side of the screen, down. So you're on questionnaire, and now you have to go down until you see request, and then you click there and this page will open up. You will see here the existing requests that you have. Usually you will see the CDP one and the eClay one, because our questionnaire is called CDP eClay Track. And then all you have to do is to go under optional, so on the right side, and you will find a list of other initiatives and projects through which you can report. And here the first one, or sometimes the order it's not always the same one, but you will find the One Planet City Challenge from the OPCC. And all you have to do is go in the relevant, let's say, line and go all the way to the right on the screen over the arrow, click there and click on Join the One Planet City Challenge. After doing that, you will see that you will be prompted to choose again your pathway. So in case you have any question, always contact your CDP office and we're there to help you. So you opt in, you click on this red button, and then you proceed again to submitting your data. I will now show how to do it in case you have not started reporting this year, and so how you can join the OPCC in case you're new. Just 1 second. And the process will be extremely similar. You will have, in 1 second, it's going to work. Yes. So it didn't work. Never mind. You will have again here the name of your city. And here you will have 2 steps that you have to follow in order to set up, so start the questionnaire. And here you can directly, so you don't have to edit anything, and you can directly click on request and do again this passage that we just said. So click on optional again and click on the line of the One Planet City Challenge on the arrow, and then click on join. So this is the steps to follow in order to join the OPCC. And now just few words on what to do once you're in the questionnaire. So things that you can keep in mind. So now it did work. Okay. So here you have all the modules. I will go in one. Whenever you have a doubt around what the question is about, you can always click on this icon and the guidance will come out. So with some more not the right one, with some more guidance on how the questionnaire works, what the question is about, and some more explanation on certain terminology. Of course, again, never hesitate to contact your CDP office in case you have any question. And then the guidance is for each question. Another interesting point is the symbols that we're using to help you understand when you are answering a question or not. So I always invite you to check that all of your questions have an answer and are answered. And then whenever you're sure about your answer, I invite you to always click on Mark as Review. Don't worry, it's not mandatory, but it just indicates to you that you don't have to look back again on the given question. On each question, I also invite you to scroll all the way to the right to see all the relevant cases. Please know that many times it's a drop-down menu, so all you have to do is click and choose. But yeah, always go to the right side so that you can see all the questions that we're asking. And whenever you have answered all you could, so even if some cases are not fully answered, once you're sure that you have no more answer, you can mark it as answered and then go on to the following question. An important one more point is, in case you want to involve more colleagues or department, you can always click here on invite team members, and then with a click you can invite other users by clicking on this red button. You just have to insert the email address and start collaborating with them. For now, I would end it here. Of course, if you have any questions, please input them in the chat, and I will cover them. And yeah, never hesitate to contact your CDP points so that they can also answer any question that you may have.
Thank you very much, Marta, and a great walkthrough of the platform there for everyone to get a little bit of a better idea about the different parts of it. And we'll have you back in the panel in a little bit. So everyone who has questions about this or other things, please put them in the chat and we will raise them in the panel. Then I will give the floor to Rafaela. I will just share my screen again and to share your point of view from the technical team.
Thank you, Saskia. I hope you hear me well. Hi, everyone. I'm Rafaela. As Saskia said, I work in the WWF Cities technical team. And today I will walk you through how cities can strengthen their reports from the perspective of our assessment. I will start by explaining why and how you can check your data's quality and completeness before you finish your submission. I will also share some insights from previous One Planet City Challenge rounds. And finally, I will give some practical tips and general advice on your reporting. Please, next. Thank you. So first, let's remind you how the OPCC works in the technical matters. So first, cities report their climate data on CDP ClayTrack platform. Then we collect that public data from CDP portal, and we assess and evaluate the data through our One Planet City Challenge assessment framework to finally produce and share our feedback reports with the cities. Click once, please. So last webinar, we focused on the assessment framework. And in this webinar, we want to emphasize the relevance of the data that you report as the main input for our assessment. Next, please. We don't use information from all questions on CDP questionnaire in our assessment. In total, we collect your city's answers to 23 questions in these modules: governance, emissions inventory, risk assessment, targets and goals, planning, and actions. And you will be able to see them if you submit to OPCC when you are answering the questionnaire. Next, please. So before we dive into the relevance of the data, I also want to remind you that the main objective of our assessment is to identify opportunity for improvement in your city's climate journey, which is this cyclical process that consists in 5 steps that you must already know, or for the new ones, I will explain this journey. Step 1 is the assessing emissions, climate risks. Step 2, establishing targets and goals to address these emissions and risks. Step 3, developing climate action plans to achieve these targets and goals. Step 4, implementing these plans. And step 5, monitoring the results of the plans. So our assessment framework includes indicators and methods to both evaluate and to give feedback on your reported data in these 5 steps. Next, please. So let's go back to the data. So we need you to report complete and high quality data because we want to be able to produce a reliable and valuable feedback to you. So now we encourage you to do these 2 types of checks in your data before finishing your submission: the completeness checks and the quality checks. And I will explain them better. Can you click once, please? As I explained in the previous webinar, the One Planet City Challenge has a scoring criteria consisted of 43 indicators to evaluate your city's climate journey. And now we advise you to use these tables with the indicators to identify areas of reporting that you may need improvement and ensure a more complete submission. For example, can you click once again? For example, the indicator AM2 in assessment that checks the year your emissions inventory was created. So this table with the indicators shows which question on the CDP questionnaire is related to this indicator. In this case, it's 3.1.1. And then you can review your answer to these questions, make sure that you gave the information you wanted. And for a full list of indicators, you can check tables 2 and 3 in the OPCC assessment framework document. Click once, please. So now the quality checks. So the OPCC also has a data integrity diagnosis framework with 47 quality checks with rules and criteria to verify if your data makes sense, if the data meets expected standards. For example, we check like area of jurisdiction, if it's realistic, if your emissions and your population is realistic, and also the consistency across the related data in your reporting. Click just once, please. For example, the indicator G2 in governance that checks if your projected population is within a reasonable range. And the table shows the criteria used for this check. So what is the range that normally the population growth is. And we use these checks to make sure our assessment relies on solid data, but they are also very a great source for the cities to spot and fix small reporting errors by double checking their input using these tables, using these indicators. I also noticed that if something that you reported is not meeting our standards, it doesn't necessarily mean it is wrong. Okay, just make sure that your data truly reflect what you wanted to report. And for a full list of these quality checks, you can see the Appendix C in the assessment framework document. Next, please. So now I want to show in the next slides some results from last 2 OPCC rounds to get a sense of cities' main challenges and the progress in their climate journey. So first, we analyze how cities scored across each climate journey step, the 5 ones. And this is important to see the results because the scoring also depends on how complete and high quality the reported data is, right? So comparing these 2 cycles, we see that the most recent one, there is a broader range of scores. This doesn't necessarily mean that the same cities improved their scoring, but it does show that there is a greater variation of scoring. And we can also see that the main struggles, but also the biggest changes in the scoring average were in targets and goal in orange, and in climate action plans in gray. Next, please. So in the previous slide, I said that we cannot assume that the same cities improve their scores across cycles with those analyses. However, we can see clear progress when we look specifically at mitigation target alignment for recurring cities or cities that participated in both 2021 and 2023 cycle. So the number of full aligned cities, the dark blue, increased from 18 to 28, while the non-aligned cities in light blue decreased from 208 to 93 in the last round. Next, please. We can also see when looking at the presence of a mitigation plan, that the percentage of recurrent cities that reported a mitigation plan in navy blue rose from 63% in 2021 to 84% in 2023. So this analysis, we can see that the cities are in different stages, and that the OPCC is an ongoing process of progress and learning. So if your city is just beginning, remember that you're not alone, and many others are at the same stage. But we also can see that the results from the recurring cities demonstrate that how participation over multiple cycles leads to better and more comprehensive reporting, and also a stronger performance over the years. Next, please. And now just a few practical tips that can be useful at this stage. Follow the CDP questionnaire logic. So remember, there is a hierarchy in the CDP questionnaire. So if skipping one question may block the next questions for you to see, and this can affect your evaluation in the end. Also, a report even if the data is not fully up to date. So if recent figures like population or area aren't available, report the latest data you have, because it's still valuable. Also ensure consistency across your responses, so make sure that the hazards that you reported are the same ones in your attached risk and vulnerability assessment. Also that the hazards you reported match with the adaptation goals and actions that you report, and in the same way align the sectors that are addressed by your mitigation actions with the main emitting sectors in your inventory. And also be detailed. So provide emissions breakdown by sector and or scope, and make sure that the subtotals add up to the total, because many times the total is not exactly the sum of the subtypes because of miscalculations. And also give as much detail as possible about your climate plans and actions. And lastly, check your mitigation target type. Be careful when you choose the mitigation target, because there are many different types, like fixed level, baseline, intensity. And sometimes the cities choose one type, but they don't provide the data that is needed to calculate that target. So you can review the CDP's guidance in case you have doubts about what is each type of target and what you need to report. Next, please. And so to wrap up, here are a few general tips to keep in mind. Adopt the systems perspective. So the front runner cities, they view planning and reporting as part of a connected climate journey. They link emissions and hazards to targets and goals, and to the actions to reach those targets and goals. And they also report implementation and monitoring of the plans, as they are just as important as setting the plans itself. Also report what you have, and the best way possible, represent your data, your information the best way possible to receive valuable feedback from us. And be transparent and ensure that your report and your scoring reflects what is truly happening in your city. And transparency is not just good practice, but also builds credibility and can attract investments and partnerships for your city. And I believe that giving attention to these points will help you to receive more valuable feedback, as I said, to improve your scoring in the friendly competition. And most importantly, your report will be more transparent, accountable, and credible. Thank you, and I hope we keep working together to make the best of your participation in the OPCC. Back to you, Saskia.
Thank you very much, Rafaela, for this sharing your thoughts and your experiences from the technical part and the technical assessment that we are doing. And with that, I would like to invite Uri Colodro from WWF Chile and also Marta to have a little bit of a panel feeling here. So up to the stage. Well, I thought we would start with you, Uri, and your experiences in Chile. We see that over 30 cities in Chile are actively reporting on the CDP Clear Track, and that's a great number of cities. I know you've worked with them for a long time. What would you say is the main reason local authorities join the One Planet City Challenge?
Super. Thank you, Saskia, and thank you to everyone for this invitation, for joining this webinar. Regarding your question, local authorities in Chile are joining to the One Planet City Challenge, or OPCC, because they see a clear value in participating. We have increased a lot the number of cities joining the OPCC since we start with like 4 municipalities and now we have 30. So the OPCC provides a simple and effective way for municipalities to communicate their climate actions to citizens. This helps to build transparency and public trust. That's the first thing I would say. The second one is that the technical feedback and data that they receive through the challenge is extremely useful for monitoring and evaluating, for example, the effectiveness of their climate action plans, or, for example, different projects that they are doing that they really don't know if it's aligned, for example, with 1.5 degrees. Also, the third thing I would say is that the OPCC serves as a gateway for deeper collaboration with WWF and other projects. For example, we have some bilateral collaborations with municipalities, and we do other projects related to nature-based solutions, to solar rooftops, things regarding to regulation and etc. So as a science-based based organization, WWF seeks to partner with municipalities that are leading in climate action and have implemented effective strategies. That's the important thing, and that's why the OPCC, it's a very important tool. So through this collaboration, we try to help these cities to continue their efforts and inspire others to follow their lead. That's very important because we try to inspire other cities in the same country. We say, okay, if this municipality could do it, others also can do this kind of projects or action plans.
Thank you. That's it's great to see the journey that all the cities are on in Chile together, and more across Latin America and also globally sharing their experiences. And we come to and this is a question a little bit for all of you. What are the challenges when it comes to reporting and submitting data? We've heard from the three cities in the video about what they're working on. What would you say is a main challenge when going through the reporting part of the OPCC? Uri, if we start with you. You're muted.
Sorry. Okay, well, the main challenges we have seen is the lack of internal coordination sometimes in some of the municipalities. Some of them are very well coordinated, but other ones need to ask other departments or areas inside of the municipality, and they have some problems for getting this information. Often, this climate-related data is scattered across different departments. It makes it difficult to consolidate and report in a coherent way, so they take a lot of time doing their reports and etc. And also something, especially in Chile, but I think it's across all Latin America, is the limited technical capacity or dedicated staff to manage climate data and reporting processes. Especially in smaller municipalities, we have different size of municipalities. Some are very big, very important, and others are very small, and especially small only have one person that is taking care of all environmental issues at the same time. So I think that's one of the main challenges.
And this is something that we absolutely recognize. Marta, do you have a comment or something else that you've seen that cities are struggling with, and maybe also then now getting into, okay, so how are they coping with these challenges? What do you see?
So I wanted to just follow what Uri was saying. We see worldwide actually this problem of the fact that the data is scattered, and what we do see. So there is hope, let's say. What we do see is that the more years a city reports, the easier it becomes, because of course in the first year everything is unknown, and then as Uri said, it takes time to chase down the different offices that do the different things, or the corporate that does this and that. But then the more the year pass, the more this exercise becomes more natural and easy to be done. And a big shout out to these heroes that fill out the questionnaire alone, especially in the first years. And hopefully the more years go by, the more you will be able to get some colleagues on board, so that each person can fill out just a little part of the questionnaire and not have such a big reporting burden. And then I also wanted to say that when you have only one person working on this, the reporting is quite burdensome. But then thanks to the OPCC, you have this report and these like technical notes that get back to you, and so that there's really a big feedback, that one city gets in return, so that this is a real occasion, let's say, not to be missed. And then another point that sometimes is unclear, and that Rafaela also mentioned, is the fact that sometimes the cities have documents or actions or assessment that belong to different years. So this is not a problem for the reporting, as long as you indicate for which to which year the document or the action belongs to. So it's perfectly okay to have a transport assessment from 2023 and a GHG assessment from 2024, but it's very important just that you specify the data. And then, yeah, maybe one more point. It is very good if for the questions that you don't have an answer to, you can specify that you do not have an answer to. So you have, let's say, read and understood the question, and you do know that for this year, this given year, 2025, you do not have an answer, so that the completion of the questionnaire is actually, higher.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would stop here. Sorry for the monologue.
Let's invite Rafaela in here as well. And from your point of view, what is it? We also hear a lot of data lacking, and what is your tip for cities who are struggling with maybe not having all the answers? What can they do to make sure that at least they get something out of the reports that we are providing?
Yeah, I think we are aware of the lack of capacities and the cities. That's why we emphasize that whatever you have, try to make to be as specific detail as possible, because at least you have something. Many cities, because of like small details of data, they don't report. We cannot assess their data and to give a proper feedback. So. And also, I think, as Marta said, with this feedback we give, the strategic feedback, for example, the cities can also use this to present to the administration, look, we need data on this because we could not get feedback on our emissions, on our mitigation actions or adaptation actions because we didn't have the data, for example. And as I saw that in the data from previous rounds, the cities struggle with the target setting. And we have a very nice webinar presented by Saskia on how to report your target and how our method to evaluate the targets work. And also in the climate action plans, in the reporting of actions, many cities, they don't see the whole picture. So they have some hazards, specific hazards that they report, but they don't have actions addressing those hazards, for example, or the emissions that come from specific sector, they are not addressed by mitigation action. So I think these are struggles that can be fixed with just, following our quality checks, our completeness checks. It will be already helpful to the cities to work with what they already have.
Yeah. And I think we got a question about what material is there to help in this process. And I think just to mention here that we will share the slides, of course, and also a checklist for you to work with following this webinar. And there is also a lot of support in the assessment framework and the appendices.
If I can just add one thing.
Yes, please.
For the cities not to feel as stressed if they don't have complete data or anything that is in those checklists. Of course, we are not expecting in 1 month for them to come up with a new plan from zero, but they will help with the small corrections and things that can be done. This is what we
exactly.
can expect.
That's a good to point out that it's not about creating totally new processes or documents at this point. It's really about being transparent about what you have. I'm not sure that this the specific question was about the documents around the assessment framework. Does this include the review to improve our responses? Andrea, maybe I'll invite you in here to see if we've answered the question or if we need to have a follow-up or a clarification.
I'm not sure.
I mean, I think I understand the question to be a little bit related to what we had in the previous round, right, with the GAPS report, and then this time around, like, what is it from these documents that we're sharing at this webinar? I guess maybe just a little bit of a repetition of what you mentioned at the start of the tips that we're giving and so on to replace this help. Exactly. And also pointing out again that the GAPS report, all cities will receive it when the tool is launched at the beginning of next year, which will, again, as Marta pointed out, this is a journey also for reporting. So this will help you in the coming years where you report to CDP ClearTrack. So it's an ongoing process. Please, I don't know if there are other questions in the chat that we would like to raise here. Andrea, I invite you to raise if there is anything there. No. Okay, then I have another, maybe just coming back to Chile, where you were describing a little bit on what are the challenges, and this is what we all recognize as challenges for a lot of cities around the world. Do you have any specific examples of how local authorities in Chile have overcome these challenges with lack of data, lack of personnel, lack of technical experience? Do you have anything that you want to share here?
Yeah, in the specific case of Chile, we have, well, the climate change law that mandates the development of local climate change action plans. And this has significantly strengthened the municipal governance around climate issues in general. This is a legal requirement that has helped to institutionalize the climate action and improve coordination across departments. That's the first thing I would say, because all departments at the municipality have to do different things regarding this law, and also have to have this climate action plan, which is a collective effort. So there are some promising governance structures, for example, working groups that are emerging. There's the case, and a very specific case, with the Chilean Association of Municipalities. We are working with them also, and they are currently mobilizing a climate declaration to be presented at COP30, for example. So different majors are joining this declaration, and they are showing this collective commitment of the municipalities to climate action. That's something more of collaboration across different municipalities, but also inside of each municipality, you have some really motivated teams that are working really good. So we have some examples of the municipalities we work with, also beyond the OPCC, because we do some collaboration with some municipalities in other kind of projects, and we can see then how they are coordinated. But it's a change of mentality. It's not, it's a little bit slow. It's not that fast, but we have seen some changes since we are working in cities.
Yes, that's great, and we have we get some hope, and I think that's also an interesting experience that hopefully other countries can experience as well, and also to see that a collaboration of cities can maybe also influence the national level. Before we wrap up, I'd like you to let's do or actually maybe before we do that, I see there's another question in the chat, so let's take that first. Andrea, do you want to raise the question since it's... Yes. The question is if the information that has been reported already in the mid of September, sorry, no, let me rephrase. Some cities already reported mid-September. If they add more information to the reporting now, after the mid-September, would that new information also be evaluated in the OPCC? Maybe good to differentiate what happens from OPCC side and CDP side, I would say. Yeah, that's a good clarification to make. So maybe just start with Rafaela, to confirm that the 19th of November is the final deadline for our data. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, yes, it will be evaluated. That's why we wanted to give you tips on the improvements that you could give to your reporting from now until the 19th of November. And you will get the feedback report next year by February through our new assessment tool that I think Saskia will point out.
Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe-
What's the CDP deadline, Marta? If you maybe we can just clarify
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
This
yeah,
would be
exactly.
great for
So,
once. Yeah.
if the question was on the contrary, for the CDP score, then CDP will only consider the answers given until the scoring deadline. So the answers that, for example, you would input right now would not count. But I have to say that, as you know, each year we copy forward all the answers. So by working on it already now, you're kind of already working also for the better quality and quantity of answers of the next year. So it kind of slightly also helps the CDP score for the next year.
Yes. Great to have that clarified. So there was an interim deadline in September, and it's great to see that a lot of you have submitted your reportings by then, also making it easier for us to understand who's participating. But this is an opportunity to have a little bit look at your data one more time, increasing the completeness of it. I wanted to ask you all for just a last tip on what would you send with the cities in this webinar before we go to next steps. I see there is a question about the figures of cities that have taken part in the OPCC in previous rounds. And I've seen that Andrea is answering that. I'm not sure if it's the question about if it's cities or more rural, like smaller local authorities. But I'll let Andrea share that. What we know is that around 900 cities and local municipalities have participated throughout the years. But we are happy to give you more figures if that's interesting to you. So please reach out to us. Before I go to the next steps then, just a short round of tips. We don't have a lot of time, but just if there's anything else that you want to share with the cities that joined us today for this last month of reporting how to make the most of it, what would you say, Rafaela?
I would say that I can see that many cities were waiting for this evaluation of the first data they reported. But as I said, we have this checklist that you can follow. It's not that much indicators. I think it will be smooth and easy for you to just double check your data. And I think we offer this material. Andrea is already sharing in the chat, but we will also share this with a checklist that Saskia will show soon. So yeah, I think my tip is follow this and be transparent, and don't worry that you are a beginner if you are. Yeah.
Marta, I know
Rafaela stole my tip.
you always say the same thing.
No, she stole it. So no, from my side as well, if you're new or new-ish to reporting, don't be shy, or don't worry if you don't have all the answers. Starting is the most important point, so that then you can get all the relevant help from all the different actors. So yeah, don't hesitate. If you have any kind of data, please do report them as thoroughly as you can, and then we will take it each year and get it better.
How about you, Uri?
Yeah, I would say also in complement to what the colleague said, to take advantage of the resources offered through the WWF Global Network. Also, just have good contacts with the local offices, because we can support different institutions, also municipalities, of course, to see other kind of collaboration, bilateral projects, for example, technical assistance, funding opportunities, etc. So that would be my tip.
Yes, I agree. We have local offices in quite a lot of countries, not all of them, but please reach out to us at the global OPCC if you have troubles finding them. So with that, I would like to invite Chris Andini, Rafaela, and Marta to a panel. And while Rafaela and Marta are coming in virtually, Chris Andini, very nice to have you here from WWF Indonesia. Over 50 cities and local authorities in Indonesia are joining the OPCC and reporting, and this is a great number, so congratulations on that. From your perspective, working with cities, what is the main challenge that you see and hear about when working with cities?
Okay, hi everybody. Nice to be here and talk to you. I guess the main challenge for cities in trying to completing the CDP track would be the first one, I think, is understanding the questions. I think, I mean, in Indonesia, the one who are responsible to enter the data to the platform, I think a lot of majority of them are not, some of them not particularly understand the terminology used in climate. Although, yeah, I know language is always a barrier in English, but still they can translate it in Bahasa Indonesia with with an app, an application that could translate it instant. But still, for them, it's still challenging to understand the meaning of the questions, and also try to contextualize the questions with the circumstances in Indonesia in this case. Sometimes they actually have the data that is required, but they don't realize that they have the data. So they're not sure how to answer the questions. I guess that is one of the challenge that when city try to complete the CDP track.
Yes.
And yeah, I want to continue just
Sorry,
a little bit about the another challenge would be that the data and information is usually is scattered across many departments, many offices in the city government. So it needs really a coordinations among city offices, and oftentimes also the data is not there in the city in the city government offices. They are in the provincial level offices, and also perhaps also available at the private entities. So it's really it requires them to be active to initiate engagement with the provincial level government or to the private entities to gather such information. I think that is the challenges that could be found in Indonesia.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we recognize from across the world. We also saw some of that in the video testimonials earlier. This is maybe then also a question for all of you. What are your thoughts around how to tackle that challenge, both the interpretation of the questions, but also the data and where to how to go about that? Chris Andini, let's start with you. What have you seen as works to tackle this challenge?
Yeah, I think for the first challenge, well, specifically WWF Indonesia, in this case, we work together with ICLEI Indonesia as well as GCOM and CDP in Indonesia, try to to assist the cities, providing guidance and mentoring to them so they could understand the questions clearly and identify the data. I mean, we could mention to them this data actually could be found in your this certain formal document. It's actually available in every city government because it's a formal document mandated by the central government. So yeah, that's basically that we want that we try to do. For the second challenge, I think we encourage them to, and some cities already have established cross-departmental working groups. And also another thing that useful is creating additional user account for other department or other offices to enter the data. So it's not only from the main account, but also it could be the job and the burden of the task of answering could be distributed among offices in city government.
Yes, I think that's a great tip also for others to think about. And Martha, maybe then over to you, and also for everybody who's listening, if you have questions that you would like to put, please put them in the chat so we can raise them to this panel. But just maybe going to you, Martha, we've previously had questions from cities, especially around data, and we also see that working together we can tackle a lot of those because a lot of data is already available. There's also sometimes a question of, but we don't have the data. It's actually not there, and being worried about that it's not possible to answer all the questions. Maybe also, is it possible to then use data from academia, for example? What is your thoughts on that and how to tackle that?
Yes. So indeed, again, the reporting journey is quite a long journey. As Crisandini said many times, the information is scattered. So perhaps there is somewhere that information, but it takes a bit of time to get there, and it's normal. It is how it is in every city. So I really would invite the cities that don't have all the data to start reporting in any case, input all the data that you have, and then this group that Crisandini was mentioning will get created, or you can create them in the next years. So for example, input the data that you have until November, and then try to get a meeting, with the colleagues from the different department, and put on the table the questionnaire and show, like, hey, we have some gaps here and here. Do you know who we could be talking to, so that next year we have some more data, and then the year following we have some more data. And indeed, it takes some time to contact and find out, yes, the academia has some data, or this department has some data, or this private company has this data because they do, I don't know, the waste collection and so on. And so it just takes a little bit of time, but please start the reporting in any case, so that the different actors can come in and help you in their where they're expert in, and help you so that you're not alone in this journey. And I would say last thing that Crisandini also was mentioning is that year on year, so at the beginning maybe you're kind of alone, or the main user is 1 or 2 person that's filling the data, but then year on year you also, once more and more departments are aware of this, let's say, tool that you're using, then you can also ask them, like, hey, please fill out question number 3 and question number 4, and so distribute a little bit the reporting burden. So again, if you're alone, especially in the first year, don't be afraid if you don't have all the questions, and just get started, and then year on year it will get much better.
Yes, thank you very much. And as we've seen from Rafaela's presentation, joining the OPCC is also a vehicle for really getting other insights that you can share with the same team, and really getting the using the assessment is something that we've seen a lot of cities do. Rafaela, do you have any thoughts on on that same questions about data from the assessment point of view. Is there something where you would say, okay, but focus on that first, or do you have any thoughts here?
Yeah, I think, like you said, we use the data already reported, so we don't have many tips on the data itself, how to understand like the language used. But we always refer to the CDP guidance, which is a very good one. And we also, like I said, we have this data integrity diagnosis that right now the cities would have to check themselves using the tables that shows what is reasonable data for those specific questions that we use, and they can get a better idea what to expect, what should be a standard data that would be input in those questions. So I think it's easier to understand with examples or with the ranges that that data should be within. But also cities will be able to, from February, to get access to a gaps report that points out what can be improved or double checked in their reporting, and I think is of great use for the cities to get some help with the reporting. And as you also said, we can see we have webinars that helps the city, for example, to set a mitigation target. So we don't have only assessment framework in these documents, but also webinars that the cities can watch, tutorials and webinars from before this year. And I think, I think the strategic feedback report, that is the feedback we give, also helps the cities to see not what they have to improve or they should improve in their planning, but also reporting wise, because everything's connected, I think.
Yes, great. Thank you all very much for these insights. And there have been some questions in the chat that have been responded as I've seen. We have time for one last question. So Andrea, I just open up to you in case there is something you've seen in the chat that we want to put in here.
Apologies. That I can do. Unmute yourself. Okay. Apologies. A little bit of technical here. There's not many questions in the chat, but maybe it is worth putting out a question that Marta has already answered, but maybe interested for everyone as well. And it's just wondering if the report can be exported to Excel as well, since right now it can be exported to Word. And I don't know, Marta, if you want to just say something on that.
Yes, can you hear me? Yeah, so yes, so this year we only have the export in Word file. You can choose two options. Yeah, I will put the screenshots in the chat. And so you basically you click on questionnaire where you see all the questionnaire. And then on the top of the screen on the right, there's a kind of download icon. You click there and you have two options. One, you can export only bespoke modules. So for example, you are sending this data to your colleague that works on waste. So you just want to send him or her one module so that she can focus on one thing. Or, for example, you want to show this report to your mayor, or you need the whole thing, then you have the option of exporting the whole document. So you can select if it is just one module or the whole questionnaire. This year, so the question was asking if it is possible to export it in Excel. So this year is not possible, unfortunately, and I do not know actually if next year this possibility will be back, but I think and guess so. And yeah, if anyone on the line still has problems on it, please contact your CDP office. Otherwise, try to go on questionnaire and then top right, this little icon kind of download, and then you will find the section there.
Great. Thank you very much for that explanation, Marta. We are going into the last minutes of this webinar, so thank you so much for the panelists here. Before closing up, I want to just show you this. This is the Improve Your Reporting checklist. This is where we've gathered everything that we've talked about today for you to go through a little bit easier. There are links here as well that you can use for this last month of reporting. And if you didn't already, join our global program, and this will hopefully also help you in the coming reporting cycles. Reminding you again about the timeline, we have reporting closing on the 19th of November, and we will have a thematic global webinar on the 28th of November about natural building materials and methods. We'll get more information about that in the follow-up email. From next year, we will start the strategic feedback part of the program, and we have here highlighted a few of our key outcomes for you. The strategic feedback report and the gaps report have been mentioned. This will be possible for you to download and interact with through the OPCC assessment tool that will be launched, have its new global launch at the end of February 26. And this will be then followed by an engagement and global webinar about how to use the tool and the strategic feedback reports, really helping you in the next step of your journey. Then we'll come to the friendly competition part of the program, really a way to showcase that the cities participating are really doing what they can, your hard work. And now, seeing that this is roughly one more month until the deadline of the reporting, we recommend all of you to answer the mandatory questions, but also the recommended ones to really boost you and to be able to get these, get far in the friendly competition. And also that will help you improve the quality of your reporting and also help you get your feedback improved. So welcome if you didn't join already. Make sure you have consistent reporting and submit by the deadline. And with that, we are very happy to see you again soon. Thank you all. We can stop the recording there.